A very good evening to one and all. It gives me an immense pleasure to extend my warm wishes on behalf of Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Andhra Pradesh, India. I am really privileged to have the pleasant task of welcoming the distinguished gathering on this 5-day international virtual faculty development program on research and writing, jointly organized by Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology and Cape Comorin Trust. Today we have three speakers. Today we have three speakers, and our first speaker is Professor Walid. He is the chairman of the Department of Laser Applications in Metrology, Photochemistry, and Agriculture. Leader of the Laser Spectroscopy and Ultra-Fast Lasers Group and head of the Central Lab. I request all the participants to mute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this brief introduction about myself. Can I start now, please?
Okay, sir. Sir, 2 minutes.
Okay.
Will you give me 2 minutes? Excuse me, sir. Will you give me 2 minutes?
Okay. Okay. Thank you for this introduction. Okay. Today we are speaking about scientific writing. In brief, we are speaking about writing and presenting a project proposal to academics.
Yes, sir.
The outlines of our presentation will be objectives, how to define the objectives, and abstract, introduction, background, review of literature, methodology, time frame and work schedule, grant chart, personal needs, available facilities needs, budget justifications, funding opportunities. Let us start what is research proposal? Statement of intent. Research proposal is defined by academic preparation to complete the research. Your audience are peer reviewers, supervisors, and examiners. What is the research proposal? Research proposal is your plan. It is described in details in your study. The discussion about your study are based on the quality of the proposal approvals to proceed the institution review board. For example, any medical and biological, chemical, physical research study should have a proper proposal in writing form before it's actually carried out. It is like a blueprint of building before the instruction starts. Writing a research proposal is both science and art. A good research proposal is based on scientific facts and on the art of the communication. Writing a formal research proposal be started by the time one has one topic for the study. Contract you and your committee. We have to sign out something like a contract demanding additional requirements between the committees and how you rule the for example, authority of the publications and funding and salaries. All of this should be committed perfectly to protect committee from the student from delivering a degree of poor quality, of course. The issue and the problems. We have research design and we have benefits. The research design includes how will the research achieved, and the benefits includes what will the research contribute. We have the at the research proposal, the outline steps in your proposal that provide yourself with integral contexts and be creative. Justification of your research, thinking through experiments, programs, and flowchart analysis and theory. Anticipation of potential problems, anticipation of realistic timetable. I think we start from down to up. I mean that we search about a problem and finding exact problem which we can solve, then we will start to put a flow chart of analysis of this problem and way of solution which you can create. Of course, you will use a timetable and justification of your research theory and the content about your creativity and this idea and what is the new idea you can proceed in your solution. Then you will put the outlines of the this is the outlines of your search. So at the end we will have the following: the title, the abstract, background, statement of the problem, objectives, literature review, methodology, work schedule, and resources. What is the title? Title is very important because it describes all about your ideas and methodology and the results and conclusion. Everything included in the title. Title will give you, it looks like a GPS, will give you a guide where to go and how to go. And it should be concise and subjective. Uh, of course, identify the field, and we have to avoid too long titles and too short titles, of course. For example, detection of PB in soil using laser spectroscopy in Hilwan. We focus on lead detection, which is PB. The technique is clarified, laser spectroscopy. The media is soil. This is the media. And the search took place in Hilwan. This is the location. So you identify the target and the aim and the methodology and the place and the method which will be provided. So we will switch to the abstract. Abstract is half page, but very powerful. Half page, very powerful. It is very concise paragraph. It will be very short backgrounds. It is work short in what methods we will use, expected outcomes, conclusion, application, and future work. All of these in something like 10 sentences. Problem statement. Problem statement, you will state what is the problem you will manage and how you manage this problem. For example, malaria remains the infections disease participation in Africa. One reason of that is causing the disease is the resistance to all clinical useful anti-malaria drugs. We therefore have to devise the alternative strategies to target parasites so that you identify your target is the malaria, and the available techniques cannot recover malaria, and you will have to develop a new technique to treat these parasites. So we will move to literature review. What is mean by literature review? Literature review is not a summary of literatures, but it is supporting of the hypothesis and extend your work and avoids previous mistakes. It is unique to previous follow path. So that this is our path. You will move from general knowledge, which reader knows, to more specific one, and more specific, and more and more to focus on your new knowledge, which you have your novelty in your plan, so that you move from base, very big base, at which all the people knows in the field, of course, and focus to the new novelty. The purpose of your research proposal is like a funnel point of view. At the end of the funnel is just one statement which states your solution to the problem. Internet referencing, of course, when I introduce some references, there is thousands of references at which may cover one subject, but we have to narrow your search terms by selecting special keywords at which you will use in your technique, and the relation between these keywords and the variety of other techniques which have been used before. One of these tools at which we can use to introduce references is EndNote. Of course, EndNote is well-known application at which a researcher can use to referencing his proposal. This is one example at which we introduce one reference. We have to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism means that copy, cut, and paste. Copy, cut, and paste should be avoided, because you take some others efforts and some others words as they are, and put it in your proposal or in your paper or in your scientific writing. This is illegal usage of the text. You have to understand the text and express the meaning using your understanding language, of course, English language. Your proposal has to be concise, as we said before. The aim and objectives are as follows. The aims should be general statement of intent, objectives, specific statements that define the particular steps you will take to achieve your aims. The methodology. The methodology, you have to use judgment between the validity of the result and the conclusion. In this section, we have to introduce instruments and infrastructure which you use, the study groups and ethics, access to the samples and data analysis. All of this have to be stated clearly in the methodology. Of course, you have to justify your method choices and understand the principles. Provide feasibility of your study and experimental designs. For example, I just give an example: in vivo cultivation and induction assessment, identification of lead analogous, and cytotoxicity determination. Of course, you can use a flow chart. And about time. If you put a timetable for yourself when you write a proposal or research paper, your team will know what is the deadline date and deadline time at which each part should be expressed clearly and should be finished. Without time, you will miss everything. And at the end, you will put the budget of your proposal, which give appreciation of the research costs, prevents of overspending, provides specific explanations, needs specific technology, needs for other financial requests, or if you need some kind of kits or measurements or whatever. So we will collect all of this, add all of this together to calculate your budget. Outcomes. The outcomes expressed the result to expected result. The expected result has two groups: the measurable and quantitative group. The measurable will be something like degree or intensity or concentration or whatever. And maybe new patent or paper will be included in your measurable quantities. About quantitative, contribute to the understanding of the subject and new technology and application. Of course, you will explain all the results and why this result appears. Revise and addition. Of course, you have the revise and addition your proposal or your paper many times. For example, I revise my papers about 30 times. 30 times I go through the paper and I have 30 versions. And for project proposals, I revise them also for about 30 times. Something which you have to avoid. Avoid to forget include of table contents. Avoid to not connecting the proposal and literature review. Should be a relationship. Avoid not to have enough details about the methodology. Avoid to have generalization of your idea, and avoid to have solely on your supervisor. Don't bend on your supervisors only in writing your proposals. Improving your odds. You have to improve your read out capability, read approval proposals. You can check something like 10 or 20 research proposal. If you are going to write a paper, you have to read about 20 or 30 approved papers to know what is the style and what is the grammatical structure of each section of the paper or proposal, and how you express your ideas so that you can gain experience. Then we will move to evaluation of the proposal. The evaluations will be scanned from the aim objectives are likely to be achievable. If someone want to evaluate your proposal, he will check if your aims is imaginary, could be achieved or not. your objectives is realistic, could be fulfilled or not. Then the rationale of proposal study should be reasonable. Scientific design should be justified. Of course, I will listen to your questions if there is questions, and I just before questions, I would like to emphasize stress on propose of a proposal or presentation. If you present your ideas, you have to make your proposal compelling, concise, and concise your word. You have to capability to express your idea clearly. You have to structure in the presentation. You have to structure your story, summarize the content, preparation the presentation, conclude your presentation, and give a chance for questions and answers. Now we will go to question part, and thank you for your time to listening to my lecture. I am happy to learn if there is a kind of questions I can answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your stimulating speeching. We'll wait for 2 minutes. Any queries to Walid, sir?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please.
So, I have a doubt actually. While putting the objectives on the research paper, there are many more objectives that comes into our mind, and they are general objectives, and how one would choose the specific one among all the general objectives? How is it helpful? How one can choose among all the general
Okay.
objectives into a specific one?
Okay. Okay. Thank you for your question. You ask about a research proposal or research paper.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Research paper or research proposal. Your
So,
objectives
you
in
know,
research.
Writing the objective.
Sir,
Do
be
you
clear
understand
regarding
what
the
I'm asking?
question.
so that
Yes.
means
Are you asking about objectives in research
how
paper
to,
or research proposal?
that means on the research proposal, there are many more objectives that are comes into our mind, and they are,
Okay. Okay.
all the general objectives. But I want to know how to find out the specific among all the general objectives. That means the objectives should be limited on the research paper. So how to identify the specific one among all the general objectives? I have the doubt that one.
Okay. Thank you for this question. This is actually a very important question because I am reviewer for research papers and certified reviewer for research proposals in many agencies and projects as well. When you are trying to identify your objectives, I think I clarify the following. First of all, you have to clarify your aim of your research proposal. It is one aim. For example, you are going to measure the toxicity of lead in soil. Okay?
Okay,
What
sir.
is your objective? Okay, your objectives will be a few statements at which you can measure your progress in this aim. For example, measurements the concentration of the lead per day and per month accumulating due to pollution. Number two, measure the penetration of lead in plants. Number three, compare the measurements of lead with the standard pollution degree stated by environmental agency. Okay, so you identify three objectives, and these objectives has three identification at which you achieve this objective or not. Because as I am a reviewer, I will ask you how you reach these first objectives. You will say, okay, I already collected the concentration of the pollution. Number two, how you identify, how you achieve objective two, you will say, okay, I measure the toxicity of this pollution in plants and analysis the toxicity inside the plants. Number three, how you achieve objective three. You will say, I have compared the numbers which I got and the reference numbers, so that you can defend your ideas in very powerful three objects which you can measure and achieve. I hope that my answer is clear for you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Right, sir.
Thank you. You're most welcome. Any other question, please? Any other question?
Hafizullah, he has raised his hand, sir. Hafizullah.
Sir, can I ask one question?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. When we are setting our objectives, there are objectives for which we are able to derive hypothesis. But there are objectives which are coming while writing our synopsis or proposal. It's like we want to explore something. Okay. So what are the challenges that are found by people? So this is the information that we collect. So for this is an objective, but there is no hypothesis that I could derive out of it. Is it okay to have something like this?
Yes, I will say to something. Will you something? I advise you nothing start from scratch. Even if you have a new idea usually based on scientific basis. If your idea has no scientific basis, be sure that your idea is not correct. Okay, if your idea based on scientific basis, for sure this scientific basis has references. You can go to literature review to see what is others did in this manner. For example, I will say to you something hypothetical. For example, if I am going to invent a machine which can generate electricity from water, okay? Generating electricity using water resources. Okay, the scientific basis of my idea based on two things: converting water energy to electricity, so that I will search about this topic. How many researchers can convert water energy to electricity? There are many. Some of them use, for example, electroanalysis to convert H2O to hydrogen and oxygen. some others make evaporation of water to make steam and convert water power steam to mechanical power. And from this steam power, we can move some kind of turbines to make generation of electricity. This is another research. And so on. You can identify your objectives to enhance the available techniques and overcome the current problems and apply a new idea at the end of your objects. I hope that my answer is clear.